All right, y'all, welcome back. I am Misty. This is Dinner on a Dime, and today's video is one that I had planned to take in a certain direction, and I quickly realized it wasn't a direction I wanted to go right now. It's a potential for a video down the road, but I wanted to think about the problems I have with grocery frugal tips and tricks in 2025. Like, what are my issues with some of the things that you're maybe hearing about in other videos and things? And then how do we kind of accept, like, is it something we should do or is it something we shouldn't do? But I just didn't like the direction I was headed with it. And so I decided to make a change, which can be done. I talk about pivoting all the time. So I ended up going with 10 problems people face when they're trying to grocery shop in 2025. And then how can we conquer those 10 problems that are pretty common problems, but they're not ones that we often think about, okay? We think about the store loyalty cards. We think about the sales. We think about stocking. We think about couponing, and we think about all these different things. But there are certain things that maybe we aren't taking into consideration, or we should give them more consideration when we're grocery shopping in 2025, because the game has changed, okay? The game is not finding quick, easy deals, stocking up on them, bringing them home. There they go again. They've been quiet for hours, and I start recording and they get them riled up again. Yay. Anyways, we think about the common things, but maybe some of these aren't as common in your mind. But once you hear them, it will trigger something in you that says, yes, I face that. Now I can be more aware of it and I can move forward from it. Because in 2025, we need to save every penny we can, because our focus shouldn't be on how do we rework other aspects of our lives in order to cover food in our lives, okay? So you'll see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so number one is food prices and inflation, okay? That one's still kind of obvious, but we're going to talk about it in a different way. We need to quit talking about food prices and inflation like we expect that this is going to change. This is not going to change. It's going to continue to go the direction it's going. It is going exactly how they want it to go. Okay? Corporations are making record profits. Corporations are laying people off. Corporations are disrupting their own supply chain. I know it from inside of a company. I watched them purposely make decisions that set them up for when tariffs hit, it would make their business harder to maintain. Okay? They're doing it on purpose. So we've got to accept supply chain is what it is. Okay? There's nothing we can do about it. It is not in our circle of influence to change anything with supply chain. Labor cost, fuel cost of producing food and getting food to the store, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay? There's nothing you can do. Yes, you can voice your opinion to your local congressman. Yes, you can refuse to buy certain brands in hopes that they'll bring their prices down. But guys, how often do you see any change from that? And I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm not trying to discourage you. If you feel like you can make a change, then I say go for it. But I'm also thinking about what's in my sphere of control and what's outside of my sphere of control. Climate issues. Broad scale climate issues in the rainforest in Argentina are not something that Misty Scott and Waxahachie, Texas can control. Okay? These things are outside of anything that I can tackle or conquer, right? Okay. These problems are making your basics more expensive. It's happening, and guess what? It's not going to go away, because if one company raises prices due to a tariff, other companies raise their prices to match, whether they're facing the tariff or not, okay? When one company raises their prices to increase profits, everyone across the board is going to increase their price as well. And we've seen companies like Walmart that are announcing that they're raising the prices, but they're not even raising it on the items that the cost is associated with, because they know you won't eat that cost for that item, but you'll eat it for something else, okay? They've got you where they want you. These companies know exactly what they're doing. I promise. So what can we do? Because I'm saying these things are not in our sphere of control, right? They're not. But what can we do? We can shift our shopping strategy. Okay, this is the big one. We change our mindset, we shop differently. We buy cheaper options. We do not buy name brand options. We don't support those businesses, but we still buy, we just buy a cheaper option. Or we switch from one expensive protein to a lesser expensive protein, right? We don't support big brand. We support local where we can, okay? We shift the strategy. And I know I'm telling you like boycotting doesn't work. I've seen it be tried a lot, and I've seen it fail a lot. But I am saying make better choices for yourself. That's within your sphere of control. You can control what you're buying and if you're buying a cheaper option or a more expensive option. It's inside of your circle of control to stretch your meals. Use more vegetables. Use more rice, more beans, more pasta. Things that are going to stretch your meal further and fill you up faster. Okay, that is inside of my sphere of control. Making non-perishable purchases in bulk where it will save me money. That's in my sphere of control. So is it more economical for me to buy the 4-count toilet paper at the grocery store on a weekly basis, or is it more economical for me to order the 48-count on Amazon? Okay, it's in my sphere of control to research that, and it's in my sphere of control to make the purchase that is best for my family. Prioritize your strategy. Whatever your strategy is that's going to work for you, prioritize that. Okay, so another thing you can do is prioritize where you spend your money. So which stores in your area are known to have the lowest markup on items or are known to have really good sales? In my area, probably the one that has the lowest markup would be Aldi. Okay, you're not going to get a lot of name brand items at Aldi. You're going to get a lot of Aldi brand items, and they are just fine. They have a low markup, so I spend a lot less when I go to Aldi. Not everyone has an Aldi. Okay, I have Kroger, one town over from me. Kroger has the best sales, but what's not on sale ain't your best prices. So you're just going to have to find the strategy that works for you. Remember to control what's in your bubble, and what's outside of that bubble you can't control. And sitting around and worrying about it and stressing about it and having anxiety and maybe overstocking and purchasing things you don't need because you want to get ahead of the next price hike, it's out of your sphere of control, okay? Focus on yourself. Focus on your budget. Focus on what works for your family. Remember, we've talked about in other videos, stay calm, stay collected, stay confident that you can do this. Have some clarity that you can do this. Even in 2025, yes, it is getting harder, and I cannot imagine how hard it is going to be in 2026. I do not expect that it is going to get any better, okay? I am fully prepared that things will continue to decline, okay? That's where I'm at, but it's outside of my sphere of control. So I'm doing what I can on a day-to-day basis to make it better, okay? Number 2, running out of kitchen staples, okay? We forget our own stock of things. We displace items in our home. I can tell you for a fact right now that I know I have grape jelly in my house. I know I do. I know I do. I cannot find it. It is here, but I cannot find it. And my husband wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich the other day. He could not believe that I could not find the jelly. And I'm like, I know it's here. It's here. I cannot find it. Not keeping track of our items. Now, when I was looking for it, I still had my phone that had my tracker on it. So I know I have jelly. I know I do. Where is the jelly? I don't know. All right. So what we need to do is, instead of just focusing on running to the stores, getting the sales, whatever, we've got to buy our fresh products, right? But we can't let ourselves lack on the building blocks we need to actually make the meals. So here's what we can do. Okay, back to our sphere of control. What can we influence? We can make an inventory list. We can use an app. We can use Excel. We can use a barcoding system. Whatever it is we want to do in our home to make an inventory list. It can be as simple as paper and pen. I've seen people do it on whiteboards. Whatever will work for you and your family. Start doing pantry-based cooking where you go to your pantry first, you look at what you have, and you meal plan off of it, and then have a small buffer for essential pantry items, okay? Don't let yourself run completely out of those pantry staples that you use consistently. So if you find that you use rice consistently on a week-to-week basis, that might be a better purchase to do like a 20-pound bag of rice in a food grade bucket, right? Or you find that you use 12 cans of green beans a month, okay? That's an item I don't want to let myself run out of. So I have to inventory, I have to be utilizing that food, I have to pick up on those trends, and then make sure I'm keeping a small buffer of them. That will prevent me from running out of kitchen staples, because when I run out of them, guess what? Now I find myself going to the store for a trip that I hadn't planned. And how many times you go into the store for one item and actually successfully come out with one item? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, that's not happening, okay? Especially if you've got a husband with you, or kids with you, or a wife with you, or mom with you, whatever the case might be, you're probably not coming out with one thing. All right, number 3, dietary restrictions or preferences. Okay, not all of them are dietary restrictions. Sometimes it's just our preference. Like, we want to eat all organic, or you might have to eat sugar-free or gluten-free. We might just want to eat plant-based on our own morals. We want vegan products, or we need to be dairy-free, or we believe that our kids will be healthier if we change to dye-free foods. Okay, all of these are valid. Even if it's just something you want to do to be healthier for yourself, that's valid for you. And it's within your circle of control, because you're going to control what you eat and how you eat. But remember that all of these things do have an added associated cost with them. That's outside the sphere of control. So what can we do? We can grow some of our own food, okay? If you want all organic, can you grow produce and learn how to preserve it? Okay, so you're doing it yourself. You're not dependent on the store for it. Can you mix in some cheaper options with your more expensive splurges? So if I really like this one brand of vegan cookies, can I maybe buy, a cheaper product, like, bagged frozen vegetables instead of fresh organic ones that save me some money, but now I have more funds available to splurge on something like the vegan cookies. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? Mix in some cheaper options to help buffer and cover the difference, so that you have the money for those little splurges that make you happy, that are a more expensive splurge. Watch for yearly trending in the sales, especially around like the first of the year, and then like during Heart Health Month and Cancer Awareness Month. You're going to see more splurgy type sales on your health and fitness based items, healthy food options. When they go on sale, if it is something you can stock up on then, or you can, buy it and freeze it, whatever the case may be, that would be a better time to stock up on it than buying it when it's full price. And then research your substitute options, okay? I know you might be thinking that you're making the best decision for yourself, but look into it a little deeper and make sure that you are, and make sure that there's not an alternative out there that might be a lot cheaper for you. I am not going to tell you how to eat if you have dietary restrictions or preferences. I have been there. Back when I had my stomach surgery in 2021, I had to go on a 7-day, very low calorie diet. I had to go on protein shakes for 4 weeks around my surgery, because when they are removing 80% of your stomach, you can't eat normal food. Okay, well, so I stocked up on all these shakes and everything. Well, guess what? My taste completely changed due to the surgery, which can happen. And I developed a protein intolerance, like artificial protein intolerance. So protein shakes, protein powders, they made me sick, violently sick. So guess what? Within 2 or 3 days of my surgery, I got switched to broths and things like that without protein powder in them. So then I had all this protein powder, all these protein shakes that I had stocked up on, thinking that I was going to need them. So I would say research your options, because had I researched and seen that that was a very real possibility that I might not be able to handle that after my surgery, I would have waited and got those things afterwards when I saw how I did based on my surgery. Just some words to the wise there. I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I still have dietary restrictions now. I would love to just go get an ice cream cone right now, but I would pay for that for several days. It would not be great for me. So I get it. Dietary restrictions are hard. Okay, number 4, timing mismatches. What's a timing mismatch? Okay, that just means I missed a sale. Maybe I was out of town, and so I missed the sale. I wasn't able to take advantage of it. Or I wasn't watching the ad, right? I'm not good about it. I only check it every once in a while. I don't check it every week. So I didn't know if it was on sale, or I didn't, pay attention to it. Not paying attention to the ad requirements. So we price mismatched or time mismatched because maybe it was a Saturday, Sunday only sale, and now I'm in the store on Monday. This big thing, I can't see if you can see it on the camera or not. These are flying all around my house, and it just flew across the camera and landed next to me. All right, so is it something I had to buy only on Saturday and Sunday, and now I'm shopping on Monday? Was it 5 times the fuel points if I came in on Friday, but I came in on Wednesday? Right? Pay attention to the time requirements on sales, because a lot of stores are going to that where it's limited to certain days, or the coupon doesn't last the entire sale. It's only good for part of the sale. That's another one that they're doing. And what if you just need items and they're not on sale? Okay, that is a timing mismatch. I need Rotel. Rotel's not on sale anywhere. So guess what? I'm going to have to pay a premium if I want to buy Rotel. Okay, so what's in my sphere of influence on this one? I can track my ads on a week-to-week basis. I do this every Tuesday morning because the ad starts on Wednesday. So Tuesday morning when I get up, or Tuesday afternoon if I don't have time in the morning. But most of the time I do it in the morning. I'm going to be honest. It's kind of how I start my day. I look at Kroger, Tom Thumb, and Berkshire's. And I look and I see what are the sales for the upcoming week that start on Wednesday. I make my list of the items I'm potentially interested in getting, and then I start looking into it from there if those deals are worth me getting. And what I usually do is I just straight up compare them to Walmart. If your sale price saves me money over Walmart, cool. If your sale price doesn't beat Walmart, then that's not a good sale, and I just mark it off the list. That's kind of how I start. Then you can plan your meals based off of the ad. So instead of meal planning in advance and being like, okay, I need to buy 2 pounds of pork chops and 4 pounds of ground beef, you look at the preview, the ad preview first. You see that chicken and pork loin are going to be on sale. Now you plan meals around chicken and pork loin, not around the more expensive options of pork chops and ground beef. Okay, you see that? Build a grocery calendar. So what is a grocery calendar? It can be as simple as going into your phone reminders and setting up some little notifications to pop up of what goes on sale each month. Okay, it's easy to find a ton of videos on what sales to expect each month, what sales to buy each season, so on and so forth. So you can look at some of those guides, and then you can just program into your phone. So like October 1st pops up and it says, hey, now's a great time to start looking to stock up on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many grocery items you want to put in. And it helps trigger you to remember, okay, I need to pay attention to these things this month. Stock up when you catch a deal. That way you have it for later. Okay. So if pumpkins are on sale, do we need to stock up on pumpkins? No, because what am I going to do with a bunch of pumpkins? If apples are on sale, do I need to stock up on a bunch of apples? No, because when my family decides we're never touching another apple in our life just because mom bought them, now I got all these apples to deal with. What I'm talking about is like when ground beef goes on sale for $1.99 a pound, you stock up on it. When you find a meat marked down for beef stew meat where it's 50% off, you stock up on it. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Not just like your normal sale items. Okay. All right, number 5, food waste. In particular, perishable food waste. So cheap deals are great, but if you buy things that are cheap and you overbuy and it's something that is going to go bad, it's going to equal more money spent and more waste. So you're wasting food, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time and effort, okay? You can control this by deciding I will only stock up on items that are non-perishable, okay? When it comes to perishable items, I am only going to buy what I think we will utilize in the next couple of days, because you're not always guaranteed that produce is going to last as long as it did last time. Maybe your bananas lasted a month last time, but your bananas this time, by God, they are gone in 7 days. Like, they are completely black within 7 days. You just never know. So stock up on the perishable items. If it is something that is non-perishable, label it and date it with when you want it gone by. I would get like some big neon colored labels. I would put, like fruit needs to be eaten by Wednesday. Stick it on the container as you put it in the fridge. That gives you a visual reminder every single time you open that refrigerator, as well as for your kids, as well as for your spouse. Like, hey, if you're going to the fridge for a snack, eat those strawberries first, because those need to be gone by such and such time. Have a use first shelf or bin in your house. So a bin could just be any sort of little basket or anything like that that says, hey, these are the items we need to use up first for snacking, for cooking, whatever the case might be. Make sure we use these things first. Same thing with a use first shelf. If it's stuff that you want to make sure you use up out of your pantry, I have a use first shelf that is open items. Okay, so anything that is in an open package goes on the use first shelf. So if and when I cook, every night when I cook, but as I'm meal planning and stuff, I know to check that use first shelf first and see if there's anything that I need to get out of there quickly. Okay, make sure we are using the FIFO method, the first in, first out. So we're rotating our food, only buying what we know we can use quickly. Okay, that's easy to do. If you know your family's not going to go through 2 loaves of bread in a week, don't buy 2 loaves of bread. Just buy 1. It's going to be okay. I know we kind of subconsciously train ourselves to stock up on those good deals, but it can become a bad deal really fast if you don't use it. And then if you need to, or if you have the capability to, use your freezer to extend the life of those items if you find you're not going to get to them in time. Okay, so like if I buy a bunch of raspberries and I see my kids aren't going to eat them in time, I will freeze them and then I can pull them out and use them in baking or smoothies or whatever down the road. All right, the next is, but if I have limited variety, then my meals are going to get boring. And I'm going to get burned out, and I'm not going to want to do this anymore. Okay, there are things you can do here to control this situation as well. The first is versatile spice options. Okay, if you have lots of different spices on hand, and you can get spices, like a whole bunch of them for $1 at like Walmart, dollar store. It's like $1.25 at the dollar store. I get it. Aldi has cheap spices. You can go to places that have the spice bins and you can get smaller quantities cheaper there. But having a lot of different spice options takes that boredom out of it. Okay, I could eat chicken every single night. But if I make fajita chicken every single night, I am not going to want fajita chicken after like the 4th night. I'm going to be like, my goodness, I want something else. But if I have curry spice, that I can make it like an Indian flavor. If I've got like a Tuscan spice blend that I can put on it, that's going to make it different. If I've got like a quick marinade that I can use, that's going to make it different. So you're still working with that one ingredient, chicken, but we've turned it into multiple different things. So have some versatile spice options, different condiments, sauces, marinades, things like that on hand that you can quickly alter the flavor palette of that base ingredient, because it'll carry it a lot further. Explore some new cuisine options. Okay, I love doing this and just like picking up a cookbook and exploring some different options. It can be that simple. Or you can say, you know what, I think for the next 30 days, I'm only going to cook Nigerian food. So I'm only going to look for recipes that are based on Nigerian cuisine, and that's what I'm going to eat for the next 30 days. But I'm going to utilize the ingredients I have at home, because it's going to get you thinking differently. It's going to get you out of your comfort zone. It's going to make you make foods that you aren't used to. So it's not going to be boring. You can have just a challenge night. I've done this with my mom, where we give each other like 5 ingredients and we say, okay, you have to make a dinner and a dessert that utilizes those 5 ingredients. Go have fun with it. Kind of like a little cooking challenge. Like we were thinking about the Chopped show, right? You just open up the surprise basket and this is what you have to work with. So that can be a lot of fun. Try new recipes that utilize what you have. So just Google a random recipe. Just Google recipes that contain pesto, gnocchi, chicken, rice, whatever your options are. Pick 5 or 6 ingredients. Go in, type in the ingredients you have. Crushed tomatoes. Okay. Let Google do the work for you. It'll come up with some recipes, and it may not use all of those ingredients, but it's going to come up with recipes that utilize those ingredients. And it might be things that you're not thinking of. And so you're broadening your horizons. You're getting out of the boring zone and back into the fun zone with food. And then swap out items to introduce new changes to meals, because that helps keep it exciting too. So what I mean here is maybe I always use this one particular seasoning for steak, okay? And it makes the best steak. Well, what if I use that on chicken sometime? Would it make really good chicken? Could I use it on pork chops and make like a steakhouse pork chop out of it? That might be good. Or think about like potatoes. Okay, I buy a lot of potatoes because they're cheap, and I always make mashed potatoes, or I always make roasted potatoes. What else can I do with it? Okay, can you make baked potatoes? Can you make a baked potato bar? Can you make a potato soup with it? Can you look up other ways to use your ingredients, or to swap out something into a recipe? I do that all the time. To give you a good example here, I learned many years ago that I was allergic to cilantro. I learned the hard way that I was allergic to cilantro, and I had a really bad reaction to it. So then when I would cook and recipes would say to use cilantro, I would just overlook that recipe, because I would say, well, I can't have that. It's got cilantro in it. I can't have it. Well, then as I got older, I was like, I really want that dish. I just can't have cilantro. So then I would get to work on, okay, what could I substitute in place of cilantro? Well, you can use parsley. You can use basil. There are other things you can use. And so swapping out an ingredient helped open up the door to existing meal options that I had marked off of the table because I thought that I couldn't have them. All right, number 7, a lack of knowledge or confidence in the kitchen. Okay, so you're avoiding items that are cheaper because you just aren't sure how to use them, or you're not comfortable using them. That's a very real thing, okay? I have went to the store and found like cheap ground bison, leg of lamb, all these different things, but I don't have any expertise with that. I'm not really comfortable with it. And so I don't technically buy a lot of that kind of stuff because I'm just not sure what I would do with it. So what could we do? Okay, back into our sphere of influence. Okay, if that's our choice, that's our meat that we can get on clearance this week is bison. Okay, what are we going to do with that? Because I'm not comfortable with that at all. I've had a bison burger once in my life. It was back when I was part of youth group choir on a choir tour with my church. We went to Wyoming and we were fed bison burgers, and we were not told until afterwards. That is my experience with bison. That's it. So what should we do? Start with a simple recipe. Okay, so go Google very simple recipes that use ground bison. Start there. Probably going to be something like a bison chili. Okay, that's what I would expect to find for a very simple bison recipe to start. Watch some videos. You're on YouTube right now. So Google recipes that have ground bison in them and you'll figure it out. Go do some reading on some blogs. Okay, figure it out. It's not that hard. You just have to do your research and figure out what your options are, and then you just get to making one of them. Okay, so if you have the option to stock up on a lot of something like ground bison, okay, if I'm going to make a bison chili, I'd rather just batch cook it all at once. Make a big, huge pot of chili, like 4 times the recipe, and then package it up that way. This can be risky when working with new ingredients, but it can also pay off because if you really like something, you've already got it batch prepped for the future. If you don't like it, it is so cool to go on like a Facebook free group and join, and then say, hey, who is in a financial strain and needs a dinner? I made bison chili. I've already got it in containers, like a plastic container. I've got dinner ready for you, and let people come get a meal. That is a really cool, really fun way to do something like that. Use a 1-pot recipe, use a sheet pan recipe, use a slow cooker recipe. Those are easier options. There's a lot less going on. It's a lot easier to stick to. So that is a good starter tip. And then don't be afraid to experiment. Okay, the more you experiment, the more interesting your food's going to be. And even a beginner can experiment. You can try something just as easily as I can. Okay, so if I was going, like the other night, I just decided out of nowhere to put paprika and garlic in my green beans. And they were really good. It could have went bad, but it didn't. But if you're new in the kitchen, don't be afraid to do it. If you like cumin and you like onion powder and you want to try something different, experiment. Put a little in your green beans and see how it turns out. The worst that can happen is you don't like it and you don't do it again. All right, number 8. We're going to get into some tough ones for 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Number 8 is food insecurity or income restraints. This one's really hard because maybe you are doing the best you can with what you have, and you are finding that your budget is just not stretching. It's just not going to cover it. It's very real, especially in 2025. Very, very real. Now, I could tell you it is in your sphere of influence that you could go get a second job. Okay, it's hard enough for some people to find first jobs right now, much less a second job. I could tell you it is in your circle of influence that you could do side hustles. That would be true. Maybe you could DoorDash. Maybe you could personal shop for someone. Maybe you could mow lawns. Hey, if you can, do it. Raising your income is going to be the number one way to fix this, okay? But not everyone can, okay? Not everyone can. So what can you do? Look at community resources. Does your community have a food bank available? Does your work have a food bank available? Even my kids' school actually has a little refrigerator now where kids can put meal options that they're not eating and other kids can come up and get them. I think that is such a good thing to teach from such a young age that we can share with others and we can make it work. Does your community have a little pantry? My community has a food bank. It is income based. So if you make too much money, even if you can't pay all of your bills, even if you had a medical emergency, whatever it is, they're not going to serve you. Okay, they're not. And I get it. They're strained, guys. They are tapped out on what they can do. Does your community have little pantries? These are like air-conditioned boxes. Some of them are not air-conditioned, so be careful on what's left in them, if they have AC or if they don't, to keep it cold. But they're little boxes that are put all around the community that are based off of the theory of like, I will bring what I have to donate and I will leave it there for people that need it. Or people that need it can now access it 24/7 to come get a meal, to get meal options, to get ingredients out of it. It can also be used as like, I'm doing the best I can, but man, I've been given like 50 cans of green beans. I really need some carrots and some potatoes, and I'm going to donate some of these green beans and I'm going to take some of these things. Okay. It is leave what you can, take what you need. That is the theory behind a little pantry. I donate anything that I find my kids aren't eating, anything that we don't end up liking, I donate. I do meals on Facebook to people. Like if I make a big pan of something and I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to eat the rest of this tomorrow, I will donate that to someone who would like it. At Thanksgiving, Christmas, big meals like that, my mom and I will buy like the styrofoam containers at the Dollar Tree. We will fill it up with a Thanksgiving meal or a Christmas meal, including like a homemade dessert. We will tell what's in the box. We will say Merry Christmas from the Scott and Gwill families. We will say Happy Thanksgiving from the Gwill and Scott families. And we will leave a big stack of those meals in the little pantry because someone's going to be blessed by that. And that's the whole thought behind this, is let's help people that are food insecure or people that have income restraints. Okay, we all need to look out for each other right now. I cannot stress that enough. We have got to learn to come together as a community and take care of each other. Okay, there are government benefits available for you. There are government programs, but again, a lot of these are income based. A lot of them people don't qualify for. So yes, if you qualify for government programs, go out and get the assistance that you can. Get online, find resources. You guys are watching a YouTube video right now. You've got a way to find resources that are available in your community. Join local buy sell trade groups or local free groups, because people all the time are moving or they go to food pantries and they get way more than they can use, and they list it online and they say, hey, come get this free food. Or I pulled everything out of my pantry that's expired. Well, guys, it's not expired. I mean, it's expired, but it goes well past the expiration date on a lot of items. Do your research. And so you can go and pick up that food, and then you've got more food to utilize in your own house, right? Start growing some of your own food if you can. I know this is really hard, especially if you're struggling to, like, if you're just struggling to survive, then to keep the mindset of having to take care of a garden or take care of animals is a lot added on top of it. But if you have the resources to do it, or to be part of like a community garden where everybody plants one thing, but then when it harvests, everybody gets a share of it, that's a great opportunity. And then just learn to look for, especially if you're going to like those little pantries or anything like that, cook some nutrient dense foods so you will stay fuller longer. So look for those options that are going to keep you as full as they can, as long as they can. Okay. That is really the only expertise I have to give here. I grew up in a food insecure home. I remember as a child, a game I would play with myself. Like this one can be triggering for me. I would take a slice of American cheese, and I would fold it into as many pieces as I could take that cheese down to. And then I would only allow myself to eat one little segment of it at a time. And I would see how long I could stretch my one slice of cheese. My mom probably doesn't even know that story, because I felt insecure with the amount of food that we had in my own home. And that is probably part of the reason that I am like I am now, with wanting to be prepped, wanting to be ahead of the game, and making sure my kids are always fed and full, is because I have that in my head. I have that in my head, and that never goes away. Okay, food insecurity never goes away. And so if you've struggled with it, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be in the back of your mind. In 2020, when the shelves were empty, was very, very scary for people who have been insecure with food as a child. It's re-triggering that feeling for sure. Okay, number 9 is emotional or psychological spending. Okay, what am I talking about here? Comfort eating, stress eating, wanting to have some treats all the time, social media pressures of buy this, buy this, buy this. This will make you happy. This will taste great. This will fill you up better than what you've normally had. The packaging and the ads encouraging indulgent spending. Okay, all of these things play on your emotions, and they play on your psychological capacity. Okay, all of these things do. My husband and I were just talking about this the other day. I said, have you ever been like at a point where you realize now maybe you were a little depressed, you were unhappy with the way your life was at the time, and you were just eating way more food than you needed to, because that was your comfort, was the food you were eating. I had a job that I was so unhappy with that I would go to Whataburger in the morning and buy 2 honey butter chicken biscuits, and I would go sit at my desk and begin my day with working and eating 2 honey butter chicken biscuits. That's a lot of food for one person to need to eat in the morning. It dawned on me the other day, like I did that because I didn't like that job. I wasn't happy with where my life was at that point. And so we all fall victim to emotional eating, stress eating, psychological spending. We all fall prey to this one. Okay, so what do? We set ourselves a small treat budget so that we don't break the bigger budget by spending on things, okay? We have to know that we're going to need some things to keep ourselves going through different situations in our lives. And so having a little set aside for, hey, I need an ice cream sundae right now, or I need that Starbucks drink, or I'm going to go crazy. Having a little treat budget is actually a really smart idea. Having a 30-day delay on non-essential spending, okay? I want a new pair of Converse. I'm going to mark it on the calendar. I want a new pair of Converse. I'm going to see how I feel about that 30 days down the road. Do I really need a new pair of Converse? Or I just happen to see an ad for Converse, or I just happen to see somebody wearing a color that I thought was really cool. Do I really need that thing? Or do I really not need that thing? Have a budget buddy, okay? Have someone, maybe not a spouse, because budgeting with a spouse can be hard. But can you budget with a friend or budget with your mom, where you just talk about your budget? You don't even have to give specific numbers, but you can say, man, I'm 2 weeks into my 1 month budget and I've already spent 40% of it. Here's how I'm feeling. Here's what's stressing me out. And you can talk it over. You have someone to bounce it off of. And so it's not all in your head driving you crazy. You're getting it out and you're talking about it. And that's going to help you feel better. Follow some frugal influencers online. Instead of watching all content that's like Temu hauls, Amazon hauls, my $6,000 a month grocery haul for my family of 50, all of those kind of things, that's not probably the group you're actually in, right? I'm not going on Temu and spending $1,000 for a haul. I'm not going on Amazon and spending $500 to haul things to show you how to redo your pantry, because that stuff's not frugal and that stuff's not real. So follow some frugal influencers, people that are giving you tips and tricks on how to do this in 2025 without putting yourself into a financial bind. And then practice more mindfulness. The perfect question to ask is, do I need this or do I want this? Okay, I need chicken to feed my family. I want cookies because they make me feel better. Okay, Chips Ahoy. Chips Ahoy. The chewy ones, not the crunchy ones. Okay, all right, number 10 is savings fatigue and burnout. Okay, this is one a lot of people are facing on a day-to-day basis. I've been there too. It takes an extreme amount of effort and time. People will tell you it takes no effort and time to do this stuff. It does take some time and effort to plan, to coupon, to price check, to go shopping, to make meals. It takes time to do all of these things. So it's easy to get burned out over time. It's easy to then slip into those less frugal habits, like just ordering pizza on a bad day. It's so easy to give in to that. But you have to remember that we are all of us in 2025 are facing burnout of some way, shape, or form. Okay, so what can we do? Let's get back in our sphere of influence, back in our circle of control. What can we do? We can simplify our systems. Okay, maybe our meal planning system is just too freaking hard. It takes too much time. We don't enjoy doing it. Okay, what can we do to simplify that? Can we go to a meal template? Can we go to a meal plan, like an online meal plan, where we just upload the ingredient list we have and it just spits out a meal plan for us? How can we simplify the system where we stay on track with the system, but it's not so gosh darn overwhelming to us, okay? What can we automate? Can we automate our grocery list? Can we automate reminders that, hey, you need a meal plan? Or like I talked about earlier, hey, these are the items that are probably going to be going on sale soon. Be watching for these. What can we set now that our future self will thank us for that little bit of that reminder, right? Form reliable habits. Okay, the best thing you can do is form a habit and stick to it. It takes a while to form a new habit, but once you're there and it's just ingrained, it's easy to just keep doing it. Even if you're burned out a little bit, it's a habit. It's something you're doing. It's easier to stick with it. But again, I would find ways to simplify it. I would find ways to refresh it if you can, okay? Meal plan, because part of that burnout and fatigue can come from being unprepared or not having a plan in place. Stock pantry staples so that you have them, so that when you need to take a step back and you need to take a breather from watching the ads, going to the grocery store, whatever it is, you have that little bit of buffer zone that you can say, okay, I am working off of this for the next 30 days. I don't want to watch sales cycles. I don't want to go to the store. I don't want to do anything other than work with what I already have within my home. I am overwhelmed. I am burned out. I just want to be at home. I just want to do this. Okay? It gives you that freedom to step away when you need to. Remember that we should celebrate every little win we have. So if we're feeling burned out, here's a perfect example. I started a 90-day challenge with my husband one time. I said, we are going to eat 90 dinners at home in 90 days. We are not eating out at all. If it kills us, I don't care. We made it to night 48, 49, somewhere in there. And I got sick. I got really sick. My husband can't cook much. And I had this thing down that I was going to have to make this marinade. It was pork skewers. They're going to have to go on the grill. None of this is stuff that my husband knows. And I said, screw it. We're ordering pizza. Okay, at least we made it to day 49. We're ordering pizza. All right, my husband said, no, you can do this. You can do it. I will help you. What do you need me to do to help? What parts of it can I handle that you only have to handle a few things instead of everything? Let's get through this together. And it's still such a positive memory for me because that's actually one I put on Facebook. So I see it in my Facebook memories and it'll come up every time, like every year it reminds me. It's kind of that automated reminder, right? Every year it reminds me of I was this close to giving up, man. I was this close. And he pulled me back in and he said, no, we can do this. We can make it through this challenge together. And so celebrate those wins and look back on them and let that be some positivity, some guiding light for you when you're struggling in the future. And then the best thing I can say is rest. Rest, okay? Not every meal has to be hard. And especially if you do the things that I've told you to do with prep ahead and do this and do that, you can rest, okay? If you've got a week's worth of freezer dinners, guess what? You can do a whole week of just freezer meals. You can pull them out one at a time and throw them in the oven. And for a solid week, you don't have to prep anything. You don't have to really cook anything. All you have to do is throw crap in the oven, let it heat up, and eat it, okay? That's all you have to do. Rest. Rest. Don't go shopping. Don't be meal planning. Rest. Allow your brain time to recover from whatever it is that's got you feeling stressed, burned out, and overwhelmed. You will thank yourself down the road. I promise. Okay, so there you go. That got a little long, but that's okay. So there you go. 10 problems that we all face at the grocery store. And not all of these are probably things that you think of when you think about problems at the grocery store. Okay, again, you're probably thinking like coupons, out of stock items, meat prices continuing to go up, which we kind of touched on that. But if you have a good one that I didn't touch on, that's something more like not so obvious, right? Like the things that we don't think about when we think about problems we have with grocery shopping, leave it in the comments because I'm interested to see maybe what you struggle with and how you fix it. Okay, how do you conquer that? How do you celebrate the win after you conquer whatever it is that's holding you up in the grocery store? All right, guys, thanks for spending your time with me. I will see you in the next video. Bye.